Well, I'm just leaving Northfield Park. I just watched the North American Cup live, and Pebble Beach was the winner. Congratulations. Ohio bred, by the way, by down by the seaside, a winner in the North American Cup. Great night of racing. I'm going to watch the last couple of races, watch Bolt Power go, and have a little tuck in early tonight. I just talked to Jason. We're going to coordinate in the morning. Going to come in tomorrow and train High Enterprise, a slow mile with the hobbles on. I want to get a feel for them. Very fast the other day, but just felt a little rickety in the corners. So I was wondering if maybe the hobbles would help her. She's never had them on before in her life. So tomorrow morning is the only time I have between now and, let's say, next Thursday morning to get a feel for her. And I don't want to just drop them on her and qualify her. It's not necessary. I'd like to get a feel for her tomorrow. If she feels really good, we'll re-qualify her with hobbles on. Otherwise, we'll race her without them for a little while or full time. Now, on to tonight. We had three morning line favorites, soft favorites, I think. I was optimistic about all three fillies. I'll be honest, I thought Skippy raced a little flat tonight. This is like the third or fourth time this filly's been caught first over. There was a little bit of a melee coming to the half. Billy made a break in the front, and Hunter almost went over Don McCurgan's wheel. And I just said, I could drop back down to the rail, but both horses in front of me are long shots. I'm the favorite. And if I don't come now, Ronnie will, and he's the other favorite. So I get out and got going, and I really thought that she would just trot right by Don McCurgan's horse down the backstretch. And I couldn't put her back in the two-hole because, in my mind, Ronnie's just going to trot past Don McCurgan down the backstretch. So I'd better just be out and going. And to be honest, she was a little flat tonight. A little flat. It's not the end of the world. She's a good horse. But she's not firing on all cylinders tonight. She was a little pacey coming out of the gate, a little pacey in the first turn. That's not the first time for her doing that. We did scope her after. Nothing found, really, of any note. No blood, no mucus. A few little pimples, but expected for a 3-year-old filly. So what went on with her? I don't really know. We're going to draw her blood and see if we can get to the bottom of it. Was it a liver count? Was it something like that? I'm not sure. But we'll get to the bottom of what it was or what it was not real soon. Now, next was Purple Aura. I really thought she warmed up well. Again, another filly that I thought was in pretty good shape heading into the race, coming off a win. I thought she'd do very well. I got away on the front end. She didn't fire off the gate the way that I thought she might, but I wasn't really in a rush. I knew once Aaron made front, he was going to have to let me go. Billy had made a break again. He set a world record in the pace division, and then couldn't keep any of the trotters trotting. But that's racing. That's the way it goes. So he makes a break, and I continue on to the front. I kind of got everything my own way, to be honest. I just called on her in the last turn to trot forward, and she didn't. It's not the end of the world. It happens. I rewatched the video a couple of times since then. I'd said to Jason, I think we're looking at this filly from a 2021 lens. This is not the Purple Aura of last year. So we're going to strip away some of that gear, take the Murphy blind off her, take all her bell boots off, take the vet wrap off her behind, just go with a set of trotting boots and boots, let her hobbles out. I think that was the biggest thing. It looks to me like she was really working hard in them, and she felt really fluid to me. The only couple of steps she put in was starting into the backstretch at the quarter and into the backstretch at the 3/4. And again, she was running in a little bit because of that Murphy blind. I just don't think she needs it anymore. So as I said to him, I said, we're going to strip away. I'm not really that interested in the version of Purple Aura from last year. I'm going to strip some of that gear away and focus on the horse in front of us. And I think Purple Aura can be better. She's going to be headed to Scioto next time. Little concerned about the flip-flops again. Do we have an option to make changes? We're going to have the vet look at her feet. If her feet are in good order, if they're not sore or pinchy or shelly, we might opt to a normal trotting shoe on her also. So a lot of changes coming for Purple Aura. No massive changes. We just need to fine-tune what we're looking at, polish her up a little bit. And then, of course, we went out in the last division. I didn't know what would happen with Sweet on Pete. I saw the same race you did in the Meadows. Not very optimistic coming into this race before I spoke to the vet, especially I was a little torn. Did I want the vet to come back and say, oh, this, and this is really hurting her? Did I want him to come back and say, not a whole lot? Her race at Northfield Park, where she tried a 54, was good. Did make that break after the mile. Why'd she make that break? And then what the hell happened at the Meadows? I can't answer that. I wasn't there. Went to warm her up second trip, and I said to Jason, we keep pushing this filly, warming her up like a racehorse, and really going a mile with it. Let's just jog her. Let's just jog her and see how she is. Just keep her quiet. So we did, just jogged her, didn't turn her and go a mile, which we usually always do. So we deviated from her, both in the way we trained her this week heading into the race, the way we warmed her up. The veterinarian had done very minor work to her, really didn't find a whole lot wrong with her. Worked on her back and the one stifle that bothers her. But again, not a whole lot of stuff. When I post-paraded her, I didn't feel a whole lot. She didn't feel different. She didn't feel good. She didn't feel bad. So I really didn't have a sense of what I was getting myself into going into the race. I scored her down a little bit. She felt safe. She felt good. Of course, we had Alana Hill on the outside of the gate, undefeated this season. But she's got the 8-hole on a half-mile track, and we saw how that can play a role with Patrick the Piranha in New York today. I'll talk about him in a minute. So I let the filly trot out of there. I obviously didn't want to let Donnie Irvine go. I'm trying to keep an eye on where Alana Hill is, and there was a couple other horses, but she felt good going around the first turn. But in my mind, I didn't want to empty her. Right? She was one of the favorites. I was going to get respect. I took a peek over my shoulder and I saw that Alana Hill was parked, but not really advancing quickly. And I was only going up there 28 and a piece, 28 seconds. I think it popped up 28 and 1. And I looked again and he wasn't really advancing. So I tapped the brakes. I knew I was getting a pretty decent breather and he still had not advanced on me. So I felt pretty good at that point. I looked down, her knee boot's down. Now I didn't know this, but it fell down going into the first turn. She didn't hit it. Must have just come loose and fallen down going around the first turn. So whatever, it is what it is, but she had tried to get up to this point. So the concern I had about the knee boot on her foot was immediately dismissed because she had tried to great up until this point with it on her foot. I don't care. It's not bothering her. It's not going to bother me. Halfway down the backstretch, at this point, I feel like a winner. I feel that Alana Hill cannot lay parked and beat this filly. At this point, she is going to have to beat herself. It was the only way she was going to do it. I really just put her on idle the rest of the way. If you watch the earplugs ran, I was motionless in the bike. I roared at her down the lane just to keep her attention because I didn't want to see her blow up for no particular reason. But that was all sheer power. Just sheer power. Now, worth noting, knee boot was on her foot I went back and looked. Halfway around the first turn, it came down. So clearly she's not hitting that knee, right? She just touched her knee and maybe just touched her knee and the knee boot spun a little bit and dropped down. So maybe we'll just tape that knee up next week. That particular knee. I had a ton of emails, a mountain of emails from people saying, what's wrong with Pete? What are we going to do with Pete? Maybe we need to do this. Maybe we need to do that. You have to understand, and I like to make sports analogies, and the easiest thing is like a pitcher, right? If a pitcher has a bad outing, he's going to go home as a human being and say, what did I do wrong? But that doesn't mean he's going to change the way he throws the ball. He's not going to change his mechanics. He's going to get back to the basics. Throw the ball over the plate. Throw strikes. It's the same with horses. You can't, I know everybody sees a bad race like, oh, you have to change this, you have to change that. Stop. There's not all the time things have to be changed. Sometimes you just have to work on the horse as a horse. As I said last week, okay, she made a break. She looked terrible. I saw it. You saw it. You're right. We all saw it together. That doesn't mean that it's some sort of mystery that we have to solve. Sometimes it's just a horse being a horse. So go back, draw the vet or get the vet to look at the horse. I had Tim's vet look at the horse. I took into account what he had said, what he had thought. We drew the blood on Sweet on Pete. We had our vet in Ohio look at the filly. Now, I didn't tell our vet in Ohio that the vet in Pennsylvania looked at the horse because I wanted to see what they both said. Very similar. A little different, but very similar. I trust our vet here, Mike. It's not that I don't trust Tim's vet. Very sharp guy also. But I trust our vet, Mike. He's our guy. Very sharp guy. I like talking to him because veterinarians sometimes get bogged down being veterinarians. They don't realize that these are horses and there needs to be a common sense approach to a lot of veterinary medicine. And I think a lot of the vets that we dealt with in the past that I've dealt with, either when I work for people or on my own, when they're fresh out of school or they're new to practicing veterinary medicine, they sometimes forget that, right? They try to be too medical. And I think taking a common sense, practical approach to horse racing is very, very important. And most vets where you say that guy is, or that lady is a super smart vet, it's usually a common sense component to it. So Mike had looked at the filly, said, Anthony, I don't see a whole lot wrong with her. Her back's a little sore, her stifle's sore. Okay, so we work on her feet because we know her feet bother her. We work on her other issues. We didn't really change our approach. We changed the way we approached the race with her. We didn't train her as hard. We went easier on her. We focused really hard on her feet. Again, warm up tonight. I didn't bust her up. I didn't go a mile with her and stretch her out like I had to last year to keep her good. But again, you need to take it on a week-by-week basis, right? Still, behind the gate, I didn't know what Sweet on Pete was going to be like. It wasn't until I got to the front, I surveyed the race quickly, realized that the only horse that could beat me was in trouble. The one in behind me, on paper, didn't look like he could ever beat me. I was in a good spot with the filly. Yes, the knee boot came down. It didn't bother her. It didn't bother me. But that also might be telling. As I said to Jason, maybe we'll tape that knee up from now on if she doesn't touch it that much. It wasn't like she hit it and spun it around and it fell down. I think she just give it a touch in the wrong place at the wrong time and loosened it up and dropped it down. It shouldn't come down, but it did. So happy with Sweet on Pete. You got to see a very powerful filly tonight. And, you know, Sweet on Pete's always been a bull in a china shop type horse. She had her problems. You just have to let her work through them. And much like I made that analogy with a pitcher, just throw the ball over the plate. You know, you'll get your game back. And it's the same with Sweet on Pete. There was no massive changes that were needed. Treat her like a horse. Take a step back, take a deep breath, and move forward. And that's exactly what we did with Sweet on Pete. So it wasn't the changes that were made. It was the work that was put into her. So just a tremendous mile from her tonight. She showed that she is a sire stake filly, but she definitely needed that race. So it was a great job by Jason to make that call. I think we're probably going to focus on what we did last year, right? Do we need to tackle the sire stake final, or can we maybe look at the consolation and the Buckeye final? She got a 1 and a 2 now in the Buckeye. So don't look a gift horse in the mouth. I think we're on the right trajectory with this filly. Very happy with what I've seen. Still lots of racing ahead and a long year ahead for her. Now, Patrick the Piranha, again, somebody had said, 8-hole, how's it going to affect him? I said, the 8-hole's tough on any horse on a half-mile track. It's a tough place to win from. I know that Mark kind of strangled him coming out of the gate. Did he shut his air off a little bit? I don't know. I have no idea. And if he did, he did. But, as I said to somebody else, I think our whole goal was to get back to Plain Ridge, right? And, finishing 5th in the Open at Saratoga would definitely stamp him back in there for a few more starts. Listen, guys, it would be wonderful if we could just go show up at the track and win every week. But just be thankful that we have a track to win at, right? Patrick the Piranha's race was not terrible tonight. They went in 52 and a piece. He had the 8-hole. Horse race good. Mark drove the horse as best he could. I would rather him not blast him out of the gate. He did the right thing by the horse. You got a check. We got a bone. We'll be back at Plain Ridge next week, and hopefully we can stay there for a little while. So for those of you out there wanting them to win today, as I was one of you also, what's best for the horse overall is what's best for us. And it was going to be tough to win into the 8-hole. As it turned out, the way the race shook down, it wasn't going to happen. But it gets us back to Plain Ridge, where they're racing for a lot more money and where he does his best work. So a good job by Mark in that regard. So I would think in about 40 minutes we're going to see Bolt Power go. I'm not expecting a whole lot. He's got, the 12-hole, and he's not a Mohawk horse. Not right now. He would be suited best for Grand River or Georgian Downs, especially Georgian, but we can't get him back in there just yet. So we're going to have to, again, do the best we can do. Same with No Free Lunch. He was entered last week at Georgian Downs for Tuesday and did not get in. So we're doing the best we can with what is offered to us. We're working with what we can. So a great day today, a great day at Northfield Park. Very proud of Sweet on Pete. And I said to one of our clients and our partners on the horse, that is what a true athlete does. You need to learn to turn the page. Think about how tough that filly was. She raced good, then made a break after the mile at Northfield. A little concerning, but nice to see her back on her forward march. Then we try to race her at the Meadows, and she explodes and looks terrible. then you see that filly come back in 7 days and do that. That's a sign of a good horse. Good horses, like every good athlete, knows how to and when to turn the page, and she certainly did tonight. So very proud of her maturity as a racehorse, both mentally and physically. She was fantastic tonight. All three of them were good in their own way, but certainly Pete was the top of the class tonight. So I'll talk to you all soon. I hope you guys are having a great weekend. It's cold. It's cold now. I said to Jason, it's been so hot, muggy, and filthy hot all week. It dropped down to like 16 Celsius, so 60 degrees. Just felt like it was going to snow. It was so cold all night. But anytime you win, got to leave with a smile on your face. So I am going to end with a smile on my face. Have a great weekend. Hope you had a great night. Take care.